What's going on, everybody? Rachel West here, joined by Bucs reporter Rick Stroud, here to preview Sunday's matchup against the Panthers. Rick, how's it going?
Going well, Rachel.
Awesome. Hopefully the Bucs come out a little stronger this week than they have the past couple of weeks. It's definitely been an interesting week. A lot of tough practices, a tropical storm thrown in there. Brady lost a couple jet skis.
Yeah, it's been rough for him. I mean, he had, obviously his worst game in years, actually, and then he became a Florida man because he's staying, renting Derek Jeter's house on the bay out there in Davis Islands, and he said it was surreal. He looked out, of course, the tropical storm Ada came through, and his dock broke off with his jet skis and kind of watched them float away. But fortunately for him, they got kind of sandwiched up against the neighbor's dock, so he got him back. But maybe that's a good sign that he and that's the least that happened. I know a lot of people had some serious things occur with the flooding and whatnot, but yeah, it's they got nowhere to go but up after that weekend.
That is true. So thank God Brady did find his jet skis, crisis averted there. Hopefully this week he can find some offense. Here we are, week 10. They're still kind of struggling to find what their offensive identity is exactly. So what do they need to do this week to find that offense and who they are and have this be a bounce back week for them?
Yeah, well, one thing they have to do is they have to run the football more. Obviously, I mean, they set an NFL record with just 5 rushes. One of those was a kneel down at the end of the game. So you can't do that to your offensive line. They'll probably have Ali Marpet back, which will certainly help them at left guard. And you got to have some balance. And I think that slows down the pass rush. I mean, the one thing about Carolina is they're last with Jacksonville in terms of sacks per game, just barely 1 per game. And so if Tom has time to throw the football, he's going to do very well. And you remember the first time they played Carolina, actually Leonard Fournette was the rushing star. He had over 100 yards in that game. Now he's getting back into the mix a little bit more and more as he's come back from injury. So I think they'll try to be balanced and try to stay out of those, 3rd and longs and try to keep Brady from getting hit, because he was sacked 3 times and he was knocked down about 8 or 9 times.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can figure that offense out. And if they do, defensively, there may be some concerns there, maybe not. Carlton Davis sat out of practice with a knee injury. He's obviously been a major part of their defense this year. So if he is unable to go, how big of a loss would that be?
Oh, it'd be huge. I mean, he's one of the top corners in the NFL right now. He's second in the league in interceptions. He's got 4. And he's first in passes defense. I think he has like 13. So he's a guy that's always usually travels with the best receiver, whoever that is. And Carolina has really the best tandem, most productive tandem of receivers in the NFL, and DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Those 2 guys have the most yards of any 2 receivers in one team. So they're going to be tested. Now, what it would mean is that you have to play Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean outside, and then you'd probably move Antoine Winfield Jr. inside to the slot when they go 3 wide receivers and bring in Mike Edwards. So they have some depth at defensive back, but make no mistake, even if he's not 100%, it's gonna hurt if Carlton Davis can't go the way he usually plays, because they do so much in the back end if Todd Bowles plays man-to-man, which we didn't see a whole lot of last week.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, the Bucs aren't the only ones affected by it. Panthers are going to be missing a huge piece of their offense. Christian McCaffrey is expected not to play. So just how different of a team is Carolina when he's not out there on the field?
Well, he's a difference maker. I mean, he's only played 1 game, but the 1 game he played was last week in Kansas City, and they took the Chiefs to within a field goal, which is, that's a defending Super Bowl champion at their place. He had like 94 yards, I think, in the first half. So he was really productive. So the Bucs caught a break there. It's not going to stop the Panthers, though, from running the football. I mean, they're going to do that. And unfortunately, the Bucs have shown the last couple of weeks they've been a little leaky in the run defense. They've been the best in the league pretty much for 2 years with the No Vita Vea. And teams are lining up now in 3 tight ends, and they're making them stay in what is their base defense and not put the extra defensive back on the field where Bowles can really blitz from all different angles. And they're running downhill, they're running power at them, which is something that, you just have to hold up inside and be a little stronger and a little more stout in the run game. So that's something I'm sure Carolina will try to do. And, it all starts with stopping the run before you can really get to the quarterback. So I look for the Bucs to try to do a better job of the run fits and stop the run this week.
Yeah, I think they are definitely do a better job because they can't do worse than they have last week, especially. But we'll see how that goes. Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us again. Hopefully not. But anyways, thank you, Rick, for great analysis and the time. Everyone, be sure you're following along with him on Twitter for more of that analysis throughout the game and all your updates. And as always, be sure you're checking out tampabay.com for live updates throughout the game.